All right, folks, pull up a chair, grab a cup of coffee, or heck, maybe something stronger. Because what I'm about to lay on you is the kind of neighborhood story that'll make you laugh, cringe, maybe even want to holler at your screen. I promise you, this isn't one of those stories where the good guys ride off into the sunset by the second act. No, this is a slow burn, the kind that cooks up a satisfying end after plenty of uncomfortable moments. Let me just say, if you've ever tangled with the kind of neighbor who thinks the street belongs to them, you're going to feel right at home with this one. So picture this. It's late May, sky, all watercolor blue and golden sun, making the front lawns look like a postcard. And inside our place, my son Jamal is standing there in a tux so sharp you could slice tomatoes with it. My wife Maria is fussing over his tie, her eyes all misty, and there's a corsage in the fridge already chilling for his date. It's one of those hallmark moments you want to bottle up and save for a rainy day. Jamal grins at his mom, kisses her cheek, and says, "Wish me luck, Pop." I give him the usual dad advice. Luck is for the unprepared son. Go have a blast, and off he goes. Excitement just radiating off him. That should have been the memory I kept from that evening. But life's funny. Sometimes you think you're cruising and then bam, life throws a tire iron through your window. Out of nowhere, our neighbor from 2 doors down, Karen Albright, storms onto our driveway. You ever meet someone and just know, absolutely know, they were born for the job of ruining other people's good time? That's Karen. Tracksuit sunglasses perched on a helmet of blonde hair, finger wagging in the air like she's directing traffic on her own private highway. She zeroes in on Jamal, who's just standing there. My son, a volunteer at the library, a kid who helps old folks with their groceries, car keys in one hand, bouquet in the other, looking like he's about to get voted prom king. You there! Karen shrieks, voice sharp enough to etch glass. What are you doing? You don't live here, Jamal, bless him, tries to keep it polite. Excuse me, Mrs. Albright, but that just sets her off, don't you? Excuse me, young man, I'm calling the police. There's a suspicious person, yes, he's black, loitering on my street. Let me back up a sec. You know that feeling when your blood just turns to lava? That's me looking at Maria, who's a civil rights attorney, mind you. And she's already moving, Karen. Maria says, her voice so calm it's scary. What do you think you're doing? Karen barely glances at her, just keeps jabbing her finger at Jamal like she's on some kind of deranged game show. He doesn't belong here. He's casing the neighborhood. Cue the flashing lights, 2 cruisers, cops stepping out, neighbors peeking from behind their curtains. Karen's eating it up, telling the cops her story about a suspicious individual. And Jamal's just standing there, pride and joy of our lives, now a target because of a tracksuit vigilante. But Maria, cool as ever, steps forward. This is my son. We live here. Here's his ID. Here's our address. He's going to his prom. You know what I mean? Sometimes it takes seeing someone you love getting trampled before you snap out of the "let's just keep the peace" routine. The officers check Jamal's ID. They look at us, then at Karen, who's slowly realizing her script isn't getting the standing ovation she wanted. The black female officer, Officer Floyd, says, "Ma'am, did you see this young man commit any crime?" Karen stammers, "Well, he looks suspicious." And she stops, probably realizing saying black out loud isn't going to go over well with Officer Floyd. The officers turn it around. "Ma'am, you're trespassing, and you've just called 911 for no crime." That's a serious matter. Next thing you know, Karen is getting handcuffed on our driveway, her protests echoing down Cherry Blossom Lane while Jamal's limo pulls up, friends cheering. I put my arm around him, tell him to go have the night he deserves, and watch as the police car Karen in the back pulls away. Let me tell you that quiet after the storm, it's different. Not peaceful, just waiting. Maria leans into me and says, "This is about more than just tonight, David. It's been years of this." And she's right. Karen's been a thorn in everyone's side since she moved in, passive-aggressive notes, complaints about our barbecues. Such a strong aroma, she'd say, like rosemary and garlic were some kind of crime, and always watching us, always judging. Funny how her complaints never seemed to target the white families on the street. Just us, the trans, the Patels. After prom night, I realized something had to change. I'm a retired history teacher, 30 years at Northwood High, and I've learned that when you're up against someone who thrives on control, you don't go head-to-head, you play the long game. And so began Operation Nightingale. We started documenting everything, every sideways glance, every trespass, every complaint, Got ourselves some high-def cameras, brushed up on town ordinances, and started noticing all the little ways Karen bent the rules herself. Now here's a twist for you. Turns out Karen wasn't just a nuisance, she was a hypocrite. Her fence 2 inches too high, trash bins out for days. Maybe even running an unregistered business from her house, at least that's what all those mysterious afternoon clients suggested. And don't even get me started on her award-winning roses commercial pesticides, the kind that are banned in our town for a reason, tucked behind her shed. Irony, thy name is Karen. So we filed polite, anonymous complaints with the town about the fence, the business, the pesticides. Nothing mean, just questions from a concerned citizen. A couple of weeks later, town inspectors started circling Karen's house like sharks at feeding time. You should have seen the look on her face, like someone had just canceled Christmas. For a while it was blessedly quiet, but Karen's not the quitting type. She started peering at us through her curtains, filming us mowing the lawn, sending her yappy terrier over to do its business on our flower beds. Our cameras caught every bit of it. Maria decided it was time for a formal cease and desist. She drafted a letter so clean and damning it could have been used in law school. We had a process server deliver. It felt like something out of a TV show. Karen's harassment cooled off, but she stewed, you could tell. Meanwhile, the other neighbors started sharing their own stories. Mrs. Tran, Mr. Patel, even old Mr. Henderson with his wildflower meadow. Turns out we weren't the only targets, just the most stubborn. The real cherry on top, the Garden of the Month Award. Karen used to run the committee and her roses always won. But this time, the coalition of the Karen-weary nominated Mr. Henderson's pollinator garden. And when I pointed out gently that Karen's garden was under review for banned pesticides, the committee voted almost unanimously for Mr. Henderson. You'd have thought Karen swallowed a wasp. Not long after she started getting fined by the town for her fence, the trash, maybe even that unregistered business. You'd see Arthur, her poor husband, out there with a tape measure, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. But Karen wasn't done yet. She took her drama to the Brightwood Community Forum, painting herself as the victim, these people with their different ways, she wrote, making it clear exactly who she meant. For a minute she got some sympathy until Maria replied, calm and factual, listing every incident, every police report, every documented violation. The tide turned fast. Neighbors piled on with their own stories. Karen's house of cards tumbled in full view. And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, Karen filed an anonymous complaint with Child Services, claimed we were neglecting Jamal, who by the way was 18 and about to start college. CPS showed up, realized it was all nonsense, and flagged Karen's complaint as malicious. Next thing you know, detectives are at her door and Karen's facing criminal charges for filing a false report. It made the local paper no names, but everyone knew. Eventually, Karen and Arthur put their house up for sale. The moving trucks came and went, and one morning they were just gone. The family that moved in after them, well, they're friendly, the kids wave, and the street feels lighter somehow. Was it worth it? The long, slow burn, the documentation, the meetings, the letters? Absolutely. We didn't just survive, we reclaimed our peace. Cherry Blossom Lane blooms a little brighter now, literally thanks to Mr. Henderson's garden, and we can barbecue in peace, knowing the only thing in the air is the smell of good food and the sound of real laughter. You know, it's funny, sometimes the best revenge isn't loud or flashy. Sometimes it's just living well, standing your ground, and letting the truth do the heavy lifting. Have you ever had to fight for your own peace and dignity? Had to take the slow road to justice? Tell me your stories. Let's keep the conversation going about right and wrong, about justice, and about what it really takes to change a community for the better. Thanks for listening, folks.